Bill Henshaw here again, your friendly local constitutional counselor from California. And this is more about my recent discovery of the foreign state judgments. And that's going to free all of us. Now we've figured out exactly how it works. And at one and the same time, you're going to learn, for example, that California is a state admitted into this union, but it isn't. It's astounding it can work in both ways. But that's the way it is, and that's what you have to know. And you get into their courts, quote unquote, courts with the right paperwork and or remove it with my foreign state document, um, a document files that you can get. I can't think of the word right now. And we get it into our own court and issue our own order. That's how good this is. And if you think about it, it makes sense. And at the start, you bet, it's a white supremacist argument. But it wins for all of us because we're the founding body politic of this nation and republic. And yet we haven't been anywhere in sight in government for at least 140 years and maybe longer than that. And that's what needs to change. We got a Republican form of government back, defined and limited powers. And we go from there, make changes, and do it right this time. So that said, you'll learn a lot more. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And boy, it just gets more exciting and more exciting. And the good news is that my work is going to benefit not only you, but your children and your posterity. So they won't have to go through all this crap that we've been put through for most of our lives, if not all of them, as we change it and get back to where we have sovereign independent states. Most of the government will then be on the county level, a lot less expensive, a lot easier, and we can make changes and do it relatively promptly. That's how it's supposed to work in a Republican form of government. So that said, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And in this regard, by the way, I note also that I'm looking for investment capital here. And for several reasons, one of which is to do a set of videos for people that homeschool their children to start out with, and give them the truth that they're never going to hear in the mandatory public education system. And I think that's going to be a big seller because when you hear it, and you hear me doing it the way I'm doing it right now, a cappella, no notes, no nothing. I know my business, and that's going to be a really good thing. So, feel free to check in. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and we can talk more about that situation. And it's going to benefit all of us. That's the whole idea of my entire work for the past several decades. And I don't know how I got granted this divinely granted gift, but I have it. And we're in the right place. We have a window of opportunity. It hasn't existed for over 100 years to make changes, and go back and do the right thing. And that's what all of us want. And now you won't get people shot to death, especially like in Minnesota recently. And yes, those were white people. And politically, that makes a difference. But the big deal is that the way the system sees it, the New York banksters, all they see are subordinate, corporate, dead, birthright citizens. You're already dead. What's the problem? Yet their lives seem to have value. Agents of our agents. You explain that one to me. I don't get that at all. Our lives aren't worth jack shit. And there is our. Wow. So that's the kind of thing we have to get reversed, and we have the ways to do it now. You'll learn a lot more about that. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And those of you who want to invest, do the same thing. And we can meet, maybe talk on a Zoom appearance, just like I'm doing here. And you'll see I do this a cappella, no notes, no nothing. I know my subject matter, and I have the portfolio. Okay, I won my South Carolina felony case. I was there for 9 months total, and about 4 or 5 months in the South Carolina jail cell. And I did an 18-page hand-printed bit of habeas corpus to the U.S. Supreme Court 10 years ago. It never made it then. Today, I think it would get on the emergency document, no question about it, that it's a different court than it was 10 years ago. But I did that, And that's impressive. I don't think any attorney from coast to coast would do that from the comfort of their office. I did it alone from a fucking jail cell. That's the kind of ability, and that's what it takes. And we can reach the Supreme Court now. Unlike 10 years ago, we have a different court, and we're going to get younger Trump conservatives on there too, the way it looks. And they know what the real problems are. And that younger court in particular will be prepared to rule on the 14th Amendment, federal, regional, martial law rule, all of this crap that's been eating us up since at least 1933. And that's the journey of my life. I'm glad to do it. And yes, I've made some decisions, and I'm the youngest of the family, and I made a decision a long time ago. If I couldn't put my family first, then I shouldn't have a family. If work is too important, and so that's the way it is. I don't have a family, but I think that was the right choice in retrospect. So I'm happy I could do all that. And I want to get the record out there to you, your children, and your posterity, so they can not only take care of business, but if and when they get called as jurors and they get on a jury, they'll know they can rule on the facts and the law. That's one of the things they should be teaching in school today. You never hear it. And there is no such thing as a jury trial. We'll talk more about that on another video. But there may be jurors, but there's no jury trial. Directed verdict of guilt. So that said, like I said, I'm looking for investment capital here. We can work out some very pleasant circumstances for that. And I also want to get some other things done as well. And once we start moving here, and with the documentary packets I have, and you can get those very modestly priced, $275, and it's over 800 pages. And that's what we put into their courts if we need to, or now in our own foreign state court. And that's the astounding part you're going to learn. We actually have that. The state of California, for example, exists, but you have to know how, where, and why. But I'm domiciled in a foreign state judicial district, and so are you. Yet they treat us, like we're a resident in a state, quote unquote, all capital letters. And really what it is you're a resident in my former hometown of Washington, D.C., and subject to martial law rule. You ever note all those flags in the background? Even Trump, who should know better, with the yellow fringe around it, military standard. You're not in the army, are you? You're not subject to it. You'll learn all about that too. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. These are very, very exciting times, and we can really make a difference working together here. So that said, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. Remember to subscribe, like the videos, tell your friends, get the word out. The sooner we start to act with correct, realistic issues, the quicker we change the course of American history. Thank you.